What's up, y'all? It's your girl S-Food.
Chapel Harder.
It's your girl Latia.
This is DJ Nugget. Hotline.
This is Jasmine Ford.
King Nesbitt.
Trapway Kissel.
Slancito.
Girl Tosh.
Rough Bone.
The Jeweler.
Ludi Boy. Yo, what up? It's your boy Wiz Khalifa, man. And I just kicked it right here. Smoked real big with the Burgh Boys.
Positive people always stay positive. Yo, check it out. It's your man DJ Motormane, and we are back live on Blogger.radio. This is the Burgh Boys, and we're sitting down right now with EFB Mastermind. We got Charles Webb Mastermind. We got very culturally relatable Mike Carroll in the building. Make some noise for Mike Carroll, man.
Yo,
MC in the building.
Was kind of crazy. Like, I didn't think it was going to end.
I was about to go on and on, but no.
I ain't shit.
No. I have to big you up, bro, because that's what we do here. You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate the cat.
Yeah.
Get me ready for the interview.
Yeah, exactly. We gotta big everybody up when we bring them on this show. You know what I'm saying? We big everybody up here, man, because we let people know that even though people think that there ain't shit going on here, there's shit going on.
Yeah, there's mad shit going on here in Pittsburgh. Like, a lot of shit that niggas don't know about. So, like, I feel like it's fire that you shine a light on it. I mean, especially when we was talking about the I Am Pittsburgh that just happened.
Yes, sir.
Like, so I think a lot of things are going on in Pittsburgh. So I think it's dope to be here. I'm really happy to be here.
Absolutely. Now, see, for people that don't know everything about you, now you have a podcast. Let's start off with your podcast. You have a podcast now. It's 1,000 Eyes, right?
Right. 1,000 Eyes podcast.
Is it 10,000 Eyes or
1,000?
1,000 Eyes.
Yeah, 1,000 Eyes podcast. We just started. The whole concept was like 1,000 Eyes. My company is Charlotte's Web. And of course, you know, Charlotte's Web is tied to spiders. And my company focuses on like social media marketing and consulting and like business consulting. Whereas though like perception is king. So there's 1,000 eyes around you.
True.
So I figured, you know, take off the brand to start a podcast where we interviewing people who are like culturally relevant, but at the same time who are relatable. And also like use the platform to educate people. So we on our 3rd episode. Like, we super light, but like 3 episodes, top 3, not 2 or 3. I feel like.
Well,
just heavy talk though, real quick.
I mean, it's good to talk like that though.
Yeah, my whole thing was just like to use the platform to just educate people through other people's stories, kind of like what you guys have already been doing. And that's where it stemmed from, and just having real conversations.
So, when you decided to put it together, like going into it, did you already have an idea of like some of the conversations you wanted to talk about?
I knew what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to talk about entrepreneurship. I wanted to talk about artistry, the music business, and the creative process. And I wanted to talk about the things that are going on in the culture with a unique take, just a relatable take. And those are really the key things. And then also just to kick the shit. That was like the last thing. But my original podcast, which was pregame podcast, it was more so like hip hop culture and like kick the shit. But for me, I think it was important entering this next stage of my life to be more of an educator. And I just wanted to use that platform to do that, but not be overbearing like a teacher, but people respect stories and success. So to use the stories to inspire people, it's people that they know and they see on a day-to-day basis that are relatable to them, I think was dope.
Well, one of the interviews you had was actually the first one, and that one was with Chuck Sanders.
Yeah.
And that one was dope because you guys talked about some real shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you brought up the, what was it, the bank issue.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that?
For me, it was about entrepreneurship. And I kind of came up with the idea like 2 weeks before. Like, I didn't know who was going to come on the podcast. And, like, low-key, I just found a spot to do it at. And I'm all about, like, yeah, plan, but, like, jump into it and figure it out on the way.
True.
I'm getting old. I ain't got time. You feel me? Even if you're 21, jump into it. Who's the biggest? And to me, it was like, who would make the biggest impact early on the podcast? And whose story did I really want to hear? And it so happened, I'm laying in bed, and my shorty on the phone, and she talking about this news article. And there was this news article about Chuck Sanders and how he was this shrewd businessman and how he was cheating on his wife and how there were sexual allegations. So I'm like, yo, let me look at that article. Come to find out, you know, it's fake news. It was Business Times New York, not New York Business Times. And I showed her, like, this is the difference between the websites. And I always knew of Chuck Sanders, but I didn't, like, I knew more than most, but I didn't know enough. So right then and there, I'm like, yo, I want to know more. And then it popped in my head, like, yo, I think we want to know. Somehow I was able to, like, convince him. I sat down with him. I think the thing that convinced him to tell his story was, I said, listen, history is an important thing. And in today's age, our books, our social media, and YouTube videos, and it's going to last. And if you don't tell your story, then someone else will. And he told me, like, yo, that hit me. He was like, it hit me for reasons I don't think you know. I'm a big fan of Hamlet. And he said, in Hamlet, they say the same thing. If you don't write your story, somebody else will. And I just told him, like, I think it's important because I think there are parts of the story that people don't know. They only know certain things that are either pushed on them or perceived. And we just talked for like 3 hours, just off the record. And he was like, I'm going to do it. And, like, it was like the first time me and Chuck talked, it was therapy. It was therapy for him. And he said it like, yo, this is therapy. I'm getting all this out. And it was therapy for me because here's a man that I would argue I would want to grow up and be like. You know, here's a man that's reached a certain level of success after I heard the conversation that's unimaginable. And I was just like, yo, it was just a conversation between black men. And that was the first podcast. And it turned out amazing. When you get back to the bank, Chuck Sanders was like the first person who called, not the first person, but one of the first people to call it the housing bubble. And he bet on it. And he's black. Guess what? He's from Pittsburgh. And it was like fire. And like, it was, when he told me that story, I was like, fam, you know, there's like a movie about that, like called The Big Short. Right? And I was just like, he's like, yeah, I know. He's like, as a matter of fact, there's a scene in the movie where they're at a table and they're talking to a bunch of people that know about the problem. I said, yeah. He said, well, I was at that table. I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Long story short, he got into a situation with a major bank, and when the bubble came, they kind of like shuffled the blame on him and then cut ties, which destroyed his company. His company was valued like at 150 million, 175 million. His company went all the way down to like 50, 40 million. Him being smart, sold it off in pieces. He's still, I might be saying too much, forgive me, Chuck, but he's still recouping. And there's just so much to his story, like how he was like behind Club Live and like it was a handshake deal. And that's why when you go to Club Live and you say you're from Pittsburgh, you're taken care of. Or how he was more strategically behind one of the biggest strip clubs in the strip club age, G5, when King of Diamonds was arguably on his downturn. Or the story about how he played for the NFL, then went broke and they got stuck in the church. It was just like, I was down and I got in the church and then it led to me doing this, and this. And then I made 50,000 in 1 month and then I made 6 million in 1 month and then it just. So I just thought it was a really important story to teach and like to but like for him to talk about his perceived flaws, the infidelity, the supposedly accused sexual misconduct. And I loved how he addressed it. And I just thought it was dope, so we just kicked it off with that, and it kind of like, the first fucking podcast went crazy.
It was a big
super dope.
Big interview.
Thanks, Spillz. I appreciate it.
And it seemed like you did your homework. You know, it was well put together. Like, and it went so smoothly. Like you said, it seemed like it was therapy because everything just came out. Like,
yeah,
the storyline and everything. You know, like
yeah.
I like how even though you were listening, you were able to bring that out of them. You were able to.
Yeah. It's genuine, like how you able to get things out of people. Spillz, you too. Yeah. I know we kind of talking through the camera. Fuck you too.
No, yeah.
Like everyone here, when you having genuine conversations with genuine people,
right?
And there's no intention behind your conversation, you're able to get that out of people, and that's what it was. And I was happy to that he trusted me
Yeah. Right.
with that.
I was gonna say, what made you actually start getting into like doing shows and like actually parties and shit? Because I remember the first show I went to of yours was the Young Thug at the outside shit.
Okay.
That shit was lit.
Okay.
Litty as fuck.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah. Damn. I was broke in college. Yeah. Went to Cheney University, first historically black college outside of Philadelphia, and you know, it was just hustling and just got into it and then just realized like, hey, yo, I think I'm kind of good at it, and then it just turned into like us doing more and more events, and like I think total, I feel like I did like my last 12 years, I feel like we done did like over 3,000 events.
Damn. That's crazy.
Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. I've done some down Miami, and it just turned. It started off as a way to feed myself, and it turned into something I fell in love with. And what I didn't realize was what I was falling in love with the marketing, and then the result of marketing. And of course, like it kind of rolled over into music.
Okay.
And my love for music as well. And yeah, that's how I got.
You remember the first artist you booked?
We booked a lot of artists.
Yeah.
I might have been like 21. I want to say, shit. There are artists before this one, but it's the only one I can remember. French Montana.
That's lit.
I might have been 21. This was when French was first like introducing himself back into the mix after like Max B kind of got locked up, and now he's solo.
Yeah.
And he was catching a vibe. And at that time, I think either I was consulting student government, and if you guys ever went to college or whatever college I'm sure you guys have,
Yeah.
they got huge budgets.
Yeah.
So since we were like the event guys, they either seeked or consulting, or I think either we were consulting or I was actually on the board at that time. And I'm like, this boy hot.
How'd you make your way to the board?
It goes back to like what I believe in now, work. Like
Yes.
it's just like anything, like
Yeah.
your work or show itself. You know what I'm saying?
When did you meet Latia and Latasha and Deej?
So my colleague, person I work with on my team, his name Johnny Montina, and Johnny was responsible for managing like damn near everybody in the city of Philadelphia besides Meek Mill. And there was a moment in time when we felt like we were close, but Meek was changing management before Rick Ross came in. But he like responsible for like, if you guys ever heard of like a girl named Lee Mazin, Young Sam, Quilly Mills, A.R.Ab,
Definitely A.R.Ab.
the list go on and on. And he had some trouble after A.R.Ab got locked up his second time. And I remember he was like, yo, fuck this music shit trash. Like, bro, like, don't even dibble and dabble. And like a year or two went past, I just told him like, yo, I think we should try again. And he like, what do you mean? I said, no, I think we should try again. And it so happened I went down Miami that weekend, and my homie, like my best friend, he sent me a project like, yo, this girl, she sings, she used to go to school. I'm like, who? He like, Latia. I'm like, Latia, who was like, he like, you know, dark skin shorty, she was fire, like she had all them friends who used to beat all them bitches up. And I'm like, oh, you talking about PG-13? He like, that was a little clique name.
Yeah.
And he like, yeah. He like, yo, just listen to the project. So I remember like just driving across the bridge, and like it was beautiful. I'm in the back seat. My man Alan was driving. I had my headphones in, and I'm just listening to the first project I heard was Dear Diary. And I'm listening to it, and I'm like, yo, she fucking amazing. In the moment, like I got to like track 5 or 6, I DM'd her like, this shit's fucking amazing. Like you're great. Like I believe in you. Like whatever you need from me, like I'm here. And that's how it started, and it just started like a constant dialogue, and we just ended up working, and kind of like Latia kind of like led to like everything, like the music taking back off. She was kind of like the starting point, like from Latia, like I met Deej, Latasha, Ron Carr, Mikey, a bunch of people at EFB, but also we was able to meet like Tierra Whack and connect with my Philly people. So kind of like Latia was kind of like the base from that. She kind of like, and sometimes we talk about this, she kind of like brought everybody together. Because, you know, the other guy worked with, his name Kaneet, and the first time I met Kaneet was he actually mixed and recorded LXII. and Kenny is actually Tia's manager. So like Latia got to meet Kenny, we all got to link up, and then Johnny started coming back around because he started seeing the talent, and it kind of like led to everything. This was about like 5-6 years ago, and it kind of like led to everything like jumping the fuck off.
Was she the one to kind of convince you to take on these other artists, or was it just like a plethora? Like, damn, I just got to do. Like, I believe in all of these people.
God blessed me with gaining the trust of a super talented family.
True. They are all related.
Yeah, they're all fucking related, bro. Which is like a headache. As a manager, at one time I was managing like 9 people. One in Philly, and like maybe like 6 here. And I wasn't doing it just because they family. I was doing it because each one of them had individual talent that it was actually fire, and it added to the situation. Latasha's an amazing artist. Like real, like still like neo soul, has her own style, has her own vibe, can write her ass off, real particular about her music. But like there was a time where like Latasha was like, we just like, Latasha's crazy. Ron Carr, he had that type of style of music before there was like a Gunner. Like before like there was a Baby, like he was doing like a sound, like sometimes he would touch on this sound that was special. Like he was doing that sound like 4 or 5 years ago, and like niggas ain't like really peep it or respect it. But he was ahead of the curve. Like there was a bunch of people involved in that situation that was just like super talented, that could rap or brought something to the table. And it was like, yo, let's just rock. And like it all kind of led up to like this girl in the studio, and hi, my name is Deej. And it was just like, my man Ron Carr hit me like, yo, I remember Deej always come around like, yo, bro, I could rap, I could sing. Her mom would always tell me like, yo, she been writing since she was like 15. You know, everybody say that. And mind you, already managed a damn family, so it's just like, all right, bro, like chill, like relax. Yeah. So I remember like Ron Carr hit me like, yo, come around the studio. Like me and Deej just did something crazy. And I was like, you know what, fuck it, let me just see it. And I walked in and I heard the song, and it was Pay Up. And I was like, oh my God. And like her voice, like her tone was so crazy. And then I remember she walked up the studio and she was like, I told you, bro. Told you. Yeah. It's fire, right?
Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
So it's just like it.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, D, she's 21. That was like, she was 17.
Yeah.
First song she ever recorded, I don't mean it ran, but like, I just remember like the first song she ever recorded was a joint. And when they put it out, I was in the streets. And this is when we still did like street PR. We fucked the streets up. And I remember like passing out like WLLFLWR stickers and CDs. And I remember they were like, yo, aren't you the boy that managed the Pay Up girl? And like this was like all around the city. Like we would be like north side, like everywhere. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, yo, what is her name? Like the Pay Up girl. And that's what she was known as, for like the Pay Up girl. That's when I was like, oh, these is crazy. And she got like a fan base out here for one song.
Yeah.
That shit got wild.
For Pittsburgh to be as small as it is, with like just music, rap music, hip hop music in general in this city, like, is it possible for one person to have?
Is this the question you was gonna ask me?
Well, yeah. Well, just from this, how is it possible for the one person to have like a side?
Oh, a side?
Yeah, like okay,
a side
like
of a city?
Like to be booming, like, okay, they're booming on that side of the city, but I don't know them over here.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, it could be possible on an island. I mean, like, for sure. Like, I definitely think it's possible. But if you do your work correctly, I mean, you should be able to get the city. And, like, that's another thing. Like, I know we just ramming. I don't like when people be like, yo, Pittsburgh's don't support me, so I'm going to Atlanta. Or I'm going to L.A. I just be like,
still not gonna get the support.
Yeah, I be like, yo, if you can't, and you know what? I'm happy we having this conversation, because I always point to Wiz when they talk about this. And people always like to argue me with the Wiz point. Nobody was fucking with Wiz. It wasn't until he left that the city got behind him. Now, you was a part of.
Yeah, go.
But you was a part of the situation. Correct me First of all, I was always a fan of Wiz. Let me just say this. Like, always a fan of Wiz. I was the Wiz guy. All my homies was like, S money. Oh, it's the government. They're so hood. We want to sell drugs so bad. Mind you, I went to Penn Hill, so it was that vibe.
Yeah.
Oh, we want to be hood so bad, so we love S money. I'm out here popping snaps. S money, government. Mind you, I was a fan.
Right.
But Wiz made music.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I compare Wiz and Max B was kind of like just getting, like, them two was like the best, like, course makers at that point for me. So I was a fan. I remember I felt like, yeah, a lot of the city wasn't fucking with Wiz, but a lot of the city was. And Wiz did a college tour, I felt like, around the city or in the area, and then came back around and it was booming. Then he left.
Right.
Was that how it played out? Because I don't want to keep telling this story wrong.
No, it did. It did because he didn't leave until after it was like
close to Black and Yellow, or like a little bit before?
No, it was after Black and Yellow.
Oh, he didn't leave till after Black and Yellow.
Yeah, because Black and Yellow, he had just bought the Charger.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we rode around the city in that.
That was the Hazel, yeah.
As much as we could. So that shit. We was here for a minute. He was here for a minute. He didn't leave until I want to say like after his major tour.
Okay.
Which was the Wake and Bacon tour. After that one, we had toured for
years,
like 2 years.
He a touring artist.
Yeah. And that's been his thing too. Like
yeah,
that's how he made his money.
Yeah.
So like
10 years.
Continuously, every year, every summer.
Yeah.
Hasn't it been 10 years now?
Oh yeah. But
10 years of touring.
But since then, that marked the major tour where we did, like you said, we toured in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did like Deal or No Deal tour, and he started going over,
Ohio and around West Virginia,
like tri-state area,
tri-state,
down south. He did like 2 days down south, and then it turned into a car tour, and then it turned into a van tour, and then it turned into a bus tour. So it just gradually went up. But yeah.
Like, we paid attention to the releases. When's Prince of the City 2 dropping?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit! Like, I remember going to Philly when I went to college, like. And putting it, like, I blasted that Wiz. They're like, oh, this Wiz. And they was on, like, Meek and, like, what was his name? Reed Dollars and, like.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
I remember that was that wave. And I was up there blasting Prince of the City and, like, rolling papers and, like, burn up. You know what I mean? Like, that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that. You know what I mean? So, like, I just remember that. And when I talk to artists now, they just be like, yo, there's nothing in Pittsburgh. Like, Pittsburgh's this, Pittsburgh's that. And I just be like, fam. It's like a C-level, D-level market. Like, if you can't take over your city, what the fuck are we doing? Like, if you can't go to the north side, east side, west side, Mount Washington, hit the 3 clubs we have, burn them down, and touch social media, and get the support of the people that you think fuck with you, that you grew up with, then maybe we shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know, like, there's exceptions. Right? So some people might have to leave. Like, some people might have to go to Los Angeles to get out of their own way. But I always think it's a mental thing. You went to Los Angeles to get over your mental block. You went to Atlanta to get over your mental block. And I talk to people that go down to Atlanta, and they be like, bro, the competition is like stifling. And if you're not from here, you'll get blocked unless you got a crazy check.
So I got a pry.
Pry.
Are there any EFB projects dropping in the near future?
Oh, yeah. Niggas is working. Niggas is working.
I know they're working, but I'm wondering.
One thing I learned in this game, you gotta let the artist do it. Being a manager is not a controlling thing. It's not about being a dictator or absolute power. It's about allowing, like, being given advice, guiding, and letting the artists make their own decisions. But yeah, like, some projects are coming for sure.
Anything you're like really excited about?
Being here at the Burgh Boys, shit fire.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
That's a plus.
Being here at the Burgh Boys, listen, bro, like, I be excited to help people, yo. Like, I got to that point where, like, I've learned so much from, like, failure. And, like, I found I've gotten so good at, like, helping people without offending people.
Right.
And I'm continuing to trying to get better at not coming off as a know-it-all. I just enjoy it, and it's helped me grow so much spiritually, mentally, and financially. I've made the most money in the last 6 months giving out free advice than I have in the last year and a half. That's right? Because people just coming to you. There's one, like, a 2-week period, I met with like 150 business owners. lunches, happy hours, in front of the crib, at the shop, barber shop. Yo, I'll give you a cut. Talk to me. Yo, so it's just been dope. Every day is just something new. I'm super excited. I'm working on another festival. We gonna do this one like you remember the Young Thug joint.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of like, yo, I don't like doing shit that's like if I went to a festival, like when we did Summer Jam, like I felt like that was low. Cause we only brought like 2 artists and the rest of them were local. Like this time we just trying like run my bag with that shit. Like I'm trying festival type shit, like 3-4 stages type shit. Like I want the fountain. Like I want niggas standing on the fountain while the water going up type shit. Like I'm on some. And we've been working on it for about a year, lining it up. And what killed me is like Thrival got a festival, like and like they are part of our culture, but like it's not. But they not.
Yeah, no.
But they not. Like no disrespect to Thrival and like Ascender, as Ascender is the company, the nonprofit behind Thrival. Shout out to them guys over there, but you know they just not the culture. Right. I'm just looking forward to like that's something big. Major that we're working on. Let me ask you before we go. Let me ask you 2 questions, yo. Who's the hottest artist in the city, Motor?
You don't never answer.
And
this
ain't there artist next door?
Yeah.
Benji?
That's what he said last time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said Benji.
I like Benji. I think he's crazy. Yeah. What you, Spillz? You think Benji too? Who else after Benji?
Who did I say? Oh, I said. Who did I say?
Oh, I feel like it's wide open.
I said Reese Youngin because the dance.
You think Reese hotter than Benji?
Cause he said, I said I like the dance moves and all that.
You like hood niggas. You found a dog in a crack house. You never gonna listen to Benji.
Wait, but most of Monday.
Nigga, you don't want to hear nothing Benji talking about. I want to hear about crack and dogs.
Getting whipped up, dog with 3
fucking
legs,
hoes.
Fuck the hole in the pop burner heads.
I ain't gonna lie. I think
I fuck with Benji though.
I think Stunner 2 Fly is definitely.
Yeah, I think Stunner Fire.
Like
fire.
Oh,
Yeah, I think Stunner
yeah,
Fire.
his shit hard.
That
Yeah,
Dope Man
I think
song.
Consistent.
I think Stunner Fire.
Bands.
You take Stunner over Benji?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
You
I
don't
would
like-
take Benji over Stunner.
Okay, that's cool. Blow bands, bitch. I'm the dope man.
Yeah.
In the kitchen, I had to whip a bow.
Spillz, what about you?
But look,
I was the one
look,
that said Stunner.
Huh?
the only reason why I'm saying this is because
He's going on tour with.
there's 2 different markets for these guys.
Nah, man, you can't do that. Nah, man.
See,
It is. It is.
Nah, because we just had Tyler the Creator face off with Khaled. It's one market, bro.
True. It is one market. It is one market. But that's why I'm saying if I'm taking one market, I'm going with Benji.
Pittsburgh, one market,
I'm a
Benji.
gay
Spillz,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Well, last time I said Stunner, so this time I'll say.
What you trying to give equal opportunity?
I
We'll
know,
make
right?
like a white man.
Well, he-
Just
First
like a
time
white man.
So this time I'm gonna
What's
say-
that word called that the jobs do? What's that shit called?
Equal opportunity.
No. What's the job? What's that word called? What they like? Make sure we hiring our black people. What's that? No. It's something. It's something.
I know it is called.
If you say this shit Spillz, you racist as shit.
It's called
Equal opportunity.
No, it's like it's
You know
not
what I'm
that.
talking
But
about.
yeah,
It's a word.
I can't think of
But
it.
that's
right
what he
now. It's
doing.
on the tip of my
But the
tongue.
funny thing is though,
First I see
he's talking about 2 black people though, so we
Facts.
fucking with him.
I'm the master at that. Get that.
I should.
I like Benji. Y'all like my favorite color?
I
I
should.
do.
Yeah, he's fire.
The energy.
Yeah, his energy's
I'm big
crazy.
on energy. Like
His energy crazy.
if you do like, I like that hopping around doing crazy. Cause the song, I don't give a fuck about the song. I want
He
some
got some good songs. Too.
You
He
know?
just moved to LA. His manager is Mac Miller's old manager.
Oh yeah, Q.
Q. So
Yeah,
I'm
he was
hoping.
He was a Burgh Boy. Fun fact.
Oh, Q was the Burgh Boy?
Fun fact.
Yeah, that's
He was
crazy.
the original.
Oh, y'all story is. Maybe y'all should come on the podcast and tell y'all a story.
Facts, he was-
Because I ain't know that.
Portia was a Burgh girl too.
Yeah, she
Portia? Oh, she got all famous and went to Whammo.
Well, she was
She
always.
was doing double.
Yeah.
She was already on Whammo?
Yeah,
That's
she was
fire.
doing double.
Does she still like pop in and out?
Yeah.
Every now and again she'll
Yeah,
pop
she'll
in.
pop
This is for life, Holmes.
Yeah.
This is for life,
We jumped her
Holmes.
in. You know what I'm saying? She can't get out now. You know what I'm
Are
saying?
you messing with my Easter essay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta get this picture.
We definitely gotta wrap this thing up though, but we got
But
nice
Carroll,
high, we got
Thank
nice
you so
strong.
much, man.
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you for coming through to the Tuesday night
on
chill
us.
spot,
Yeah.
spreading your knowledge, man, kicking some shit with us, man, speaking about the culture and piss. Talking about everything that you spoke about.